every time you activate something from the past, you run the risk, and we don't mean to sound warning, we just can't find a better word of explaining. There is the potential of this activation because of this past experience not jiving with what's going on now. For example, when you go home for a vacation, home to your early roots, when you go back to visit your parents or the town that you grew up in or the people from your beginning, even if they're not still living where you lived, when you go back to those people, don't you find yourself beginning to behave like you did the last time you were there? Often. Because those familiar faces and places, the familiar food that they're eating, the familiar things that they think about, the familiar family albums that they get out, the familiar vibration of what that was is activated within you when you turn your attention to it. Whether you go there or not, or whether you just think about having been there. In other words, when you turn your attention homeward, so to speak, homeward to your physical family roots, you activate the vibration of that, and if you feel love and joy and friskiness when you're doing that, that means that those thoughts that are activating are blending with the most further extension of who you are, and all is really well. But if you feel irritated, if you feel ornery about it, if you feel lonely or homesick, if you get those nostalgic feelings that so often you associate with home, what that means is that thought activated something so far from who you now are that there is a discord within you. Esther said, after a while of understanding this, now I know what homesick means. Home makes you sick. And we mean that too, in the sense that when you activate those memories of when you felt less secure, or when someone didn't approve of you, or before you had figured out who you are, it's a very common thing for you to activate just by turning your attention to something that doesn't jive with who you are. But you don't have to go back home or back into your memory to do that. All day, every day, the thoughts you are focused upon, whether it is past, present, or future, whether it is a person, whether it is a place, whether it is a thing, whether it is a philosophy, whether it is an economy, whether it is a government, it doesn't matter what you have turned your attention to. It is certain that whatever it is, you're getting play-by-play feedback about whether this activated thought that you've got going on is beneficial or detrimental to you. Because your life has caused you to reach into new places. And then all day, every day, you've got this measurement going on to see how well you're reaching into the new place that life caused you to reach to. The best way of saying it is life has caused you to expand. The larger part of you, the inner being of you, has already taken that vibrational leap forward. And if you don't bring the rest of you along, then you feel the discord and you don't feel good. In short, if you are to live the joyful life that you have come forth to live, you've got to keep up with you. And we don't know any of you who can keep up with you when you're looking back. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would spend so little time looking into the past, it would be as if we were born today. We would spend so little time thinking about anything that had happened before, because everything that happened before your frequency was where it now is. So you're just almost certain of bringing discord to yourself by activating that. Now, we know good things happened in the past, and we know that you can selectively sift through it and find those good things. But you are forward-looking beings. It's one of the reasons that you don't stay in these physical bodies very long. You don't stay in these bodies very long because you get so enamored with the path that you have walked upon that you want to record it for all to hear. And when you do, it holds you back. It holds you back from where you're going. It keeps you from being who you really are. It's not good for you, so stop it. Or not. Whatever you want is fine. So what we are suggesting is, if you put your emphasis where it counts, which is upon your own vibrational awareness and getting into the vortex, then of course, from in the vortex, you'll be inspired to all kinds of action. Now that we have introduced the analogy of the vortex to this conversation, let's just talk about action and effort in relationship to the vortex. First, I want to say that most people who are outside of the vortex are offering a lot of effort. And even though they're offering a lot of effort, it doesn't get them very far. In other words, there's a whole host of people banging around outside of the vortex, competing with one another, measuring their progress against one another, who have very little to show for all of their hard work. While if you let being in the vortex be a more predominant part of your effort, you access a leverage because you access the energy that creates worlds. And so it's funny for us to hear people say, well, I'm not sure that it could be that easy, so I'm just going to stay outside the vortex where it isn't. And we say, put your effort toward getting inside the vortex and find out how easy it is. And your clients and yourself, you're right. Words don't teach. You got to get in there. You've got to live life inside the vortex and life outside the vortex before you can accurately proclaim what's easy and what's not. And we submit to you that life outside the vortex is hard and sometimes torturous and gets you hardly anywhere, where life inside the vortex is where it is at. And we agree. It's why we've written book after book after book. We get it that you want it to be harder than it is. There are no rules to this game of life. There's just an incessant quest that is within you, and that is to feel good. And we're just letting you know why when you don't feel good, what's going on, and why when you do feel good, what's going on. And it is our desire, as we chew together in the hours that are before us, that you leave this gathering with a revived decision that nothing is more important than that you feel good, and you're going to look for love in the places where it is. There are so many people looking for love in all the wrong places. And we want you to understand that where it is forward looking. Where it is where the whole of you is. Where it is where the source that is within you has evolved to because of what you have lived. We have to make a very strong statement here. If life had not caused you to become more, you would not feel uncomfortable when you don't become it. You got to keep up with you. You just got to keep up with you. You just got to keep up with you, you see. It's a little tricky, isn't it? Because from outside the vortex, you have all of these possibilities, because there's thousands upon thousands of books that have been written about that very subject. When you're outside the vortex, you're just trying to match up all of these components. Well, how did we come together, and what responsibility did we have, and what did you do to me, and what did I do to you, and where did you come from? And you probably got that way because of your mother, and I wonder what her mother was like. And then there was that counselor that we had, and that counselor was whack-hole, and that counselor didn't know anything that we were talking about, and there are this factor and this factor and this factor, and then these, and you just kill me now. It's just too many moving parts and impossible to sort out, you see. But when your dominant and singular intent is to close the gap between who you are in your physical form and who you have become, when you get into the vortex fully tuned in to all that you are, then from that vantage point, law of attraction lines everything up. In other words, that's the only way stability and clarity will ever come to you. If you're trying to please that one and please that one, there's that what that one thinks, and there's what that one's family thinks, and then there's what your family thinks about that, and then there's what your neighbors think, and then there's what your golf group thinks, and then there's what those people at work think, and then there's that, and that one thinks that way because that one had that experience. In other words, that one got dumped too, and so that one is really mad at you. In other words, you can't sort it out. When you're trying to take into consideration what everybody thinks about where you are, it will just make you crazy. But if what you're considering is your relationship with who you have become and all that you've been asking for, that guidance is clear. You know exactly what to do. So it's not just about what to do about it. It's about how to feel about it. You feel your way into the vortex. And then what to do becomes a very easy thing to do. Because one who is connected to the stream, one who is in the vortex, one who's tuned in, tapped in, turned on, one who's in alignment with who they really are, is more powerful than millions who are not. So imagine following your own bliss, following your own heart, coming into alignment on subject after subject, and then from that in the vortex position, now looking back in appreciation of everyone who helped you along the way, and giving benefit back to them from your in the vortex place, you see. can only uplift if you've allowed yourself in. People say, Abraham, I think you teach selfishness. This seems like the ultimate selfishness, to go get what you want. And we say, you have no choice but to come into alignment with self. And when you do, you have the energy that creates worlds flowing through you. But if you sacrifice that alignment with self and source for the sake of jumping through some hoop that somebody else has decided is the appropriate thing for you to do, and then you stand outside your vortex in resentment and sacrifice and commitment, we promise you, you will not uplift their world just by being there. You know what we are doing here? We are trolling for light, which represents your question, and allowing, which represents your readiness. You like knowing about the vortex? Has it put your life into greater context? Do you realize the power with which you've come forth into this experience? Do you know that life is supposed to feel good for you? Do you know that you cannot get it wrong? And you never get it done. And the reason you can't get it wrong is because it's never done. So when it feels the wrongest, that's when you're asking for the more. And when you ask for more, the source within you just calls you harder, you see. So we think this gathering has been well named, the art of allowing. The art of allowing me to be a vibrational match to who I really am. The art of allowing me, through the choices of the thoughts that I'm thinking, to line up with who life has caused me to become. You are aware that we have left nothing undone. Do you know that you were source energy before you came forth into this physical body? Do you know that a part of you has come forth into this body? Do you know that the contrast is inspiring the expansion of you? Do you know that your emotions let you know whether you're keeping up right now or not? Do you know that you can't not keep up, but you could hold back temporarily? Do you know that when you hold back, it doesn't feel too good? But do you know when you hold back, it causes you to ask for more? And do you know if you still hold back, it causes you to ask for more? And if you still hold back, it causes you to ask for more? And you know eventually, your vortex is spinning so fast and calling you in such a profound way that every now and again, when you're not looking, when you're not resistant, when you're at ease, when you're basking, when you're appreciating, the vortex takes you in and gives you a glimpse of who you are. That's that rush that we were talking about just now. This has been a particularly wonderful gathering. We've appreciated all of you, whether you sat in the chair or not. As someone put forth a question, it activated vibrations all over the room. And the question expanded, and we could feel the power of what you were asking. Together, today, we have taken thought beyond that which it has been before. But then, that's happening all day, every day anyway, isn't it? In other words, you can't fail at your expansion. It is assured. What we are wanting with every word that we offer, and every book that we write, and every process that we spew, is that you will find some way to release a little more resistance and allow yourself a little closer proximity to your vortex. Because it is with everything that we are that we wish for you the majority of the days of this life be lived from inside the vortex. We want you to know with clarity the power and value of that which is you. We want you to feel the pride within you for your contribution to this time-space reality and all that is, that defies anything that anyone has ever felt. We want you to feel appreciation for the others with whom you share your planet. We want you to know that without exception, every one of them is a part of that which you are. You've come here to share this contrasting experience for the purpose of expansion, but not just for the purpose of expansion, because that is an inevitable consequence of beingness, for the purpose of joyous expansion. Life is supposed to feel good to you, and when it doesn't, something is screwy. Get into the vortex and milk it for all it's worth and stay there and feel the resonance of it and know who you are. And the more you're in that vortex, the more you become unwilling to hang around outside of it. And the more you're in it, the more you feel the familiarity of it. The more you tune your awareness to what it feels like when you're in and out, until you'll become, as Jerry is describing himself, you just barely brush across the surface of something that isn't up to speed with who you are, and it gives you prickles. Not because you've done something awful, but because it's not who you are. It doesn't resonate with who you are. Life is supposed to feel